The air in the sand trap was a thick cocktail of stale beer, sweat, and cheap disinfectant clinging to cracked vinyl booths. It was the only civilian establishment for 10 clicks outside Aldafer Forward Operating Base. A purgatory of dust and steel where soldiers went to forget their deployment. Anna Sharma sat at the far end of the bar, a glass of lukewarm water in front of her. She wore canvas trousers and a plain gray t-shirt, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. She looked like one of the countless civilian logistics contractors who kept the base humming. Forgettable, harmless, a ghost in the machine. Her stillness was an anomaly. She wasn't reading or scrolling. She was just watching, her dark eyes absorbing the geometry of the room. The leader of a trio of Marines, Sergeant Miller with a neck like a utility pole and prison yard tattoos, detached from his friends. He moved with the rolling, arrogant gait of a man who had never been told no with conviction. He stopped beside Anna's stool, crowding her space. "You must be thirsty, sitting all alone," he slurred. "Let me buy you a real drink." Anna turned slowly, her expression placid. "I'm fine, thank you." The rejection bounced off incomprehension. He grinned. "Don't be like that. We're all on the same team. What do you do, admin?" "Paper pusher." "I'm just waiting for my transport," she said evenly, turning back to her water. Her disinterest was a challenge. One of his buddies called out, "Whoa, Bulldog, she turning you down?" A pencil pusher turning down a Marine. Miller stiffened, his chest inflating. He lowered his voice, the friendly pretense dissolving. "Look, I'm trying to be nice. A little respect is all I'm asking. Out here we protect people like you." Anna's gaze remained fixed on the warped mirror. "I don't want a drink, Sergeant. Please leave me alone." The finality cut through his drunken haze, fueling his anger. His face darkened. "You think you're better than me?" He spat, voice now a growl. "You're just another fob tourist. We're the ones with boots in the dirt, the ones who bleed. You wouldn't last 5 seconds outside the wire without men like me." She finally met his eyes. There was nothing there like looking into the flat black lens of a camera. That unnerving calm infuriated him more than any retort. His ego, bruised in front of his men, demanded a physical response. He shoved her shoulder hard, meant to unseat her, to humiliate her. Show some respect. Anna rocked on the stool, one foot sliding to catch balance. She didn't cry out. She absorbed the force, her body dissipating the energy. She straightened, looked at the spot where he struck her, then back at his face. Her expression remained unchanged. For a fleeting second, something ancient and dangerous passed through her eyes before being suppressed. She slid off the stool, placed bills on the bar, and walked toward the exit without another word or glance. The bar fell silent, watching her go. Miller stood with fists half clenched, breathing heavily. He had won, put the civilian in her place. But the silence felt less like victory and more like the quiet before a storm. He had hit her and her reaction wasn't fear or anger. It was nothing. And that was the most insulting reaction of all. The next morning the summons arrived. Both Sergeant Rex Miller and Ms. Anna Sharma were to report to Colonel Matson at 0900 sharp. Miller swaggered into the command building, uniform immaculate. She stood outside in the same anonymous civilian attire, looking small and out of place. He gave her a smirk. She didn't acknowledge him. Colonel Matson was carved from the arid landscape he commanded. His face a roadmap of sun-baked wrinkles. He gestured them in. "I have a report of an incident at a local establishment. Sergeant Miller, you first." Miller snapped to parade rest. "Sir, last night my fire team and I were on authorized liberty. The contractor was acting disrespectfully to the uniform. I attempted to de-escalate. She became belligerent. I may have made contact while gesturing, sir, but there was no assault. Practice sincerity. A masterclass in sanitized truth." Matson's gaze shifted. "Miss Sharma, your version." "He was drunk," Anna said quietly. "He was aggressive. I declined his offer. He didn't like being told no. He pushed me. I left." Sparse, factual, devoid of emotion. Matson steepled his fingers, weariness in his eyes. He saw a liability, a civilian unaccustomed to the rough culture, a potential source of paperwork. Her file was insultingly thin. Anna Sharma, logistics analyst, level 3 contractor. "Miss Sharma," the colonel said patronizingly, This is not some corporate campus. This is a forward operating base in a hostile environment. The men here are warriors. A certain amount of friction is to be expected. You need to adapt. Your presence here is a privilege. One more incident and your contract will be terminated. Do you understand? He didn't question his sergeant's report. The case was closed. Anna held his gaze face neutral. Yes, Colonel. I understand. Good. Sergeant, you and your men are confined to base for 72 hours. Dismissed. Miller saluted, shooting Anna a look of pure contempt as he passed. She was nothing. He had proven it. Anna simply nodded and walked out into the blinding desert sun. Her composure didn't waver. She had been reprimanded and threatened while her assailant got a slap on the wrist. She filed the injustice away. They saw a logistics analyst. They saw a woman who didn't know her place. They saw a victim. They saw exactly what she wanted them to see. 3 days later, the illusion shattered. The attack came not with mortars, but with the silence of a severed power line. At 1427, the entire base went dark. It wasn't a simple failure. It was surgical. Anna was in the base library when the lights died. She didn't flinch. While others looked up confused, she was already moving, listening to what the silence meant. Then came dull thumps from the western perimeter, suppressed heavy rifles firing in disciplined bursts. The base sirens screamed. A massive explosion rocked the main gate. A diversion. Smoke billowed as armored vehicles rumbled toward the front, drawing the response away. Colonel Madsen was in the TOC when power died. Get me a sit rep, he roared. Reports painted catastrophic failure. Western perimeter breached. Multiple unknowns moving fast. Heavy machine gun fire. Miller and his squad were caught in the open. When sirens went off, they grabbed rifles and sprinted toward the fighting. Gunfire ripped through their formation. PFC Vance went down. They were caught in a perfect L-shaped ambush. Miller's bravado was gone, replaced by grim focus. They were pinned, outmaneuvered, bleeding. The enemy moved in efficient fire teams, ignoring barracks and flowing toward high-value targets. Their objective was clear. Anna watched it unfold with preternatural calm. From the library window, she saw attackers in black fatigues bypass panicked airmen and head for the communications hub. They were cutting the head off the snake. This was not a raid. It was an assassination, a decapitation strike. The time for being a ghost was over. It was time to be a hunter. Anna exited through a rear service door into a narrow alley. 50 meters away, a lone security airman lay beside his vehicle, eyes open and staring. She knelt, checked for pulse. Nothing. She unslung his M4, checked the chamber, and took his magazines and radio. The rifle was familiar comfort. She flowed using cover scanning. 2 attackers advanced using bounding overwatch. Professionals but predictable. Anna slipped into shadows of a generator block and waited. As the lead attacker passed, she emerged like a phantom. Her hand clamped his mouth while the rifle butt drove into his head. He went limp. The second attacker paused, confused. Anna was on one knee, M4 braced. A single crack and he crumpled. 2 down, she climbed a maintenance ladder to a warehouse roof, giving commanding view of the TOC area. Below, Miller's squad was pinned by a heavy machine gun on the adjacent building. The gun was covering a 4-man team advancing on the TOC's last defense. Anna slithered across the roof, reached the edge and dropped 12 feet into an alley, landing in a practiced roll. An external fire escape led to the roof. She ascended silently. 3 men manned the weapon, focused and arrogant. Anna unclipped a flashbang, cooked it, and tossed it over the parapet. It detonated. Before they recovered, she was over the wall. 3 precise shots. 3 bodies. The machine gun fell silent. Miller looked up, blinking. The fire was gone. He saw a silhouette on the roof, a small figure in civilian clothes. For a moment he thought he recognized the shape. The woman from the bar. It made no sense. Then the figure disappeared. Anna descended and continued toward the TOC. She had dismantled the enemy's overwatch. The final confrontation was at hand. The sudden silence was a miracle for Miller. "Move, move," he bellowed, dragging wounded Jones to the TOC's outer wall. But the enemy assault team breached the sandbagged entrance, overwhelming defenders. The door was breached. Inside, Colonel Madsen was trapped. Miller saw her again. The logistics analyst, covered in dust and blood, carrying the M4 like an extension of herself. He stared, unable to process. Anna saw the breach, saw Miller squat out of the fight. She tossed the radio to Miller. Channel 3. Report enemy strength inside. Hold this position. Do not enter. Then she was gone. Anna didn't go for the front door. She located an air intake vent at the rear, had the grill off in seconds and crawled inside. She emerged into the server room, heard attackers in the main operations room. A gunshot, a cry. They were executing the wounded. She neutralized a guard silently, crept to the doorway. Four attackers held surviving staff against a wall. The leader held a pistol to Madsen's head. The Kestrel files. Where are they? Madsen spat. Go to hell. The leader cocked the hammer. Anna opened fire. 2 rounds each left, right hostages. Headshots. They fell without sound. The leader spun fast. Anna was faster. She closed distance, grabbed his wrist, twisted. Bones snapped. She drove her knee into his solar plexus, brought her hand down on his neck. He collapsed unconscious. 5 seconds. The staff stared, speechless. Madsen looked from neutralized attackers to the woman. He saw cold, lethal efficiency. He saw a professional of a caliber he'd only read about in classified reports. Rotor blades grew to a roar. 2 sleek black and 6 little birds landed outside. 6 operators in sterile gear disembarked, moving with the same unnerving purpose as Anna. Their leader walked past bewildered Marines, past stunned Miller, ignored Madsen, and went directly to Anna. Is the package secure, Ghost? He asked, voice a low rasp. Ghost. A call sign from the shadowed world of Tier 1 operations. Anna nodded toward the unconscious leader. Package is secure. He's the only one who knows their new location. The pieces slammed into place in Madsen's mind. She wasn't a contractor. She was a hunter sent to track a high-value target. The entire base had been the hunting ground. The attack was an attempt to eliminate her and her target. They'd been caught in crossfire of a war they didn't know was being fought. Miller heard the call sign, his face going white. The woman he had shoved was a legend whispered in barracks rumors. A phantom of the special operations community. He felt cold dread wash over him. Shame so profound it was nauseating. The aftermath was contrast. On one side, conventional forces in organized chaos. On the other, quiet efficiency of the shadow world. Operators secured the prisoner with practiced lack of ceremony. Anna stood apart from both worlds. She had handed over the M4 and now stood near the helicopters, arms crossed, watching. The adrenaline receded, leaving familiar hollow ache. Miller approached stiffly, left arm in a sling. His swagger was gone, replaced by profound humility. He struggled for words, then gave up. He brought his right hand up in a slow, formal salute. Not the crisp gesture for an officer, this was different. The salute of a warrior acknowledging a superior, earned in blood and fire. He held it, eyes locked on hers, expression mixing awe, shame, and gratitude. His squad also raised hands in salute. Anna watched, expression unreadable. Then she gave a single, almost imperceptible nod. Enough? Miller dropped his salute, shoulders slumping in relief. He had been judged by a standard far higher than any military court, and in that exchange, forgiven. Colonel Madsen came next, uniform torn, face smudged. My base was compromised, he stated, owning the failure. He turned to Anna. You saved it. You saved my people. He paused. My apologies for the administrative oversight, ma'am. The ma'am was surrender. In this moment, rank was meaningless. There was only competence and incompetence. Anna's response was spare. Secure your perimeter, Colonel. Assess your vulnerabilities. They knew where to hit you. Not criticism or boast. Professional observation. A dismissal. Her part in his world was over. Madsen nodded. Yes, ma'am. The respect she commanded was absolute, silent, undeniable. Forged in chaos, paid in the currency of survival. Hours passed. Desert sun gave way to purple dusk, then deep black. Fragile order was restored. The dead counted, wounded stabilized, perimeter reinforced. The base was alive but wounded, its illusion of safety shattered forever. Anna was not being debriefed or lauded. She was alone in a dim maintenance hangar at the far edge of the flight line. The little birds were long gone. Her mission here was over. A different transport would come before dawn. She found a quiet corner behind aircraft tires. In her lap was the M4 from the fallen airman. She had field stripped it, components laid out in neat order. This was her ritual, how she decompressed after violence. A process of purification. Her movements were slow, methodical, patient. She cleaned the bolt face with delicate precision, didn't think about the men she killed or Miller's salute. Emotion was a variable that couldn't be controlled, so it had to be compartmentalized. She focused on the task, the scrape of steel on carbon, the smell of solvent, the feel of cloth making metal gleam. This weapon belonged to a boy who died defending his post. By cleaning his rifle, she honored his final act. A silent, anonymous eulogy. Boots crunched on concrete. Her handler, Shepard, appeared with 2 water bottles. He offered one. She took it without word, eyes never leaving her work. He sat across from her. They didn't speak for minutes. Theirs was a language of shared experience, of silences. "Package is talking," Shepard finally said. "Kestrel is in play. We're moving up the timeline." Anna paused, wiping solvent from her knuckle. She looked up. "Extraction 0500. C-130 from North Ramp. Your new identity package will be on board." She nodded once. "And the base?" "Matson will be reassigned. Internal investigation. They'll call it intelligence failure. They'll never know you were here. Official report will credit QRF with assists from unidentified coalition partners. Your tracks are already being wiped, Ghost." She looked down at rifle pieces. Her existence was constant erasure. She was a ghost in the machine of war. Her victories unrecorded, sacrifices unseen. The price of effectiveness. She began reassembling, fluid, practiced. Bolt slid into carrier, into receiver, charging handle locked. She joined upper and lower, pushed pins home. Seated empty magazine, pulled charging handle, squeezed trigger. The satisfying dry fire thack. The rifle was clean, whole. She placed it carefully in a security locker. Her debt paid. First hints of dawn painted the eastern sky gray and pale rose. The call to prayer echoed faintly from a distant village, mournful and beautiful. Anna walked to the massive hangar door and looked out at the sunrise. The desert was calm, dust settled, covering scars. High on the perimeter wall, Miller was on watch. He hadn't slept. His gaze fell on the open hangar and he saw a figure silhouetted against the rising sun. Her. The ghost. She stood perfectly still, watching the day begin. He didn't look away or call it in. He just watched, heart a tight knot. He was watching a force of nature, something beyond understanding. He stood his post, a changed man guarding the base she had saved, and watched until the sun was fully risen and the silhouette was gone, having vanished back into the shadows from which she came.